Hey everyone, Danielle here. My pronouns are she, her. Today is Saturday, August 2nd, and this is the first clip of my new vlog. So I have just finished working on, this is called Flora Graphica 2 Hydrangea by Jan Hicks Creates, and it is one of the projects in my Team 14 Count round robin. This is Michelle's project, and she had stitched everything you see except for the blue purpley flowers, because she was having a hard time not making them stripy, so she wanted some group help to vary it up a little bit. And so I stitched the 3 flowers that are on the left-hand side, and then out of the 4 that are on the right-hand side, I stitched the top 2. And yeah, I'm gonna put this down now and switch over to the other project that Michelle sent, which is a Nora Corbett Evanora, and Michelle did all the hole stitches and some of the beads, and then just decided that beading is not her thing. So again, she wanted some crowd sourced help to finish off the beads. So I'm gonna take this off the Q-snap, get the next one on the Q-snap, and get going on that. Oh, I was gonna show you the model for, so here's what the whole picture will look like. As you can see, there are still 3 flowers that I'm leaving for Megan, because this package will go off to Megan and she will finish both of them up. All right, I'll see y'all in the next clip. Bye. Hey y'all, today is Sunday, August 3rd, and I'm checking in again to show you my work on Evanora, which I said in the last clip I was about to put on the Q-snap and get some beading done. So this is what she looks like in full right now. All the beading you see that's done at the top was done by Michelle, who owns the project, and then I did all this beading down here. You know, shockingly, this was like only just a little less than 200 beads. It definitely seemed more intimidating in my brain. Like there would have been more beads. But no, it was only just a little under 200. I did, in the interest of full transparency, I did give myself credit for hole stitches. Because it takes so much extra time to load that bead onto the needle that I was like, no, I am not counting these as half stitches. I'm counting these as full stitches, just to more accurately reflect, you know, the amount of time invested. But yeah, so I did exactly what I said I wanted to do, which was put 5 days into both of these round robin projects. Cumulatively. Actually, I think it's been, well, I guess, I don't know, not quite 4 days. I don't know. I worked on the flowers on the 31st and the 1st. And then I worked on, maybe I worked on the flowers on the 2nd too. But then I worked on, yes, so I worked on the flowers for 3 days. And then I worked on this for 2 days, but one of the days overlapped with the flowers. So all good, all good. But yeah, so I will pack all this up now and ship it to Megan, who will finish. There's like beading that goes between here and the like neck chest area, and it's connected by backstitch. And then also the same thing, the same thing is happening, Lord, y'all, words, backstitch and beads between like the back of her neck and the hat. And then there's some beads up there off of that little talus, like tassel thing off of the back of the hat. But yeah, so Megan should be able to crank that out pretty quick, and then it'll be done. So I'm gonna go to a stitch group today, so I am gonna work on Beachcomber, and I do think that I will pop in a clip. Normally I wouldn't like film a clip to be like, look, I did, a couple hundred stitches on this, but today is very exciting. I should be finishing off that box that I've been working on, because there's only like 200 something stitches left in the box, and I think I should be able to get that done today. It is a shorter stitch group, so I will have to like be concentrated on it, but I think I can do it. So sometime tomorrow, I will give a updated, or I'll at least throw in a picture. Like, you might not get a clip, but I will take a picture of it and throw that in. And then I don't know what I'm gonna do. My top three contenders are, I'm either going to pull out the Orca piece, or I'm gonna pull out Forest Home, or I'm going to do my new start of Ode to a Good Dog. The only reason that my new start of Sampler of the Sea is not in the contenders right now is because I need to scan that and get it ready, get it markup RXP ready, and I just haven't done that yet. So I will do one of those three things, starting probably tomorrow, because I'm going to go to the stitch group, but then I'm probably not getting any more stitching after stitch group before it's a new day. So all right, that's it for this clip, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye. Hey everyone. It is currently Sunday, August 10th, and it has been a hot minute since I was able to record. I have a finish, and I actually finished this 3 days ago on the 7th. I have been in a particularly weird sleep schedule for me, and basically like my waking hours have all been like when my family is awake and downstairs, so I was not able to record my finish. But I finished this on the 7th. I pulled this out hoping that I could finish it, but I wasn't totally sure that I could, because this piece has a lot of fractional stitches and a lot of blends. And even though I only had about 1,150 stitches left, I just wasn't sure if I could get through all of them. But I got very close, and then Stubborn Crafter activated, and I finished it. So let me give you some details about this. So I just call this piece Orca. It is part of a larger design, but that larger design had some cultural appropriation issues. However, when I first decided to stitch it, I wasn't going to stitch that part anyway, and then kind of realized, that the cultural appropriationness of it afterwards. And I bought this piece at a LNS. Excuse me. At an LNS that is just east of Seattle. It is called Threadneedle Street. And I was up there in July of 2021. And my husband and I went on a whale watching tour, and we got to see orcas in the wild, which was kind of like a bucket list item for me. And so I like promptly came home and wanted to get a start on it. And so I had started it on some, I believe it was a 32 count opalescent from maybe Dying for Cross Stitch. And it was really cool, like dark purpley It just reminded me of like a purple pink galaxy type colorway. And I thought it would be cool for like the orca to be like in sort of this ethereal galaxy type setting. But I did like 40 stitches on it and then put it away. And then I pulled it back out in January of 2022. Sorry, y'all. I'm tired. This is like the latest I've been up in several days. And I think, I did a few more stitches and I just could not, between it being dark, it being opalescent, and it being Lugana, I just could not see those holes well enough to count. And so I pulled out this, which is a color and cotton. I think it was called Whimsy or Whimsical. And it is also a 32 count Lugana, which I have since learned that I hate. So this was definitely like my most challenging whip, probably like my least favorite whip out of all of my projects, at least to work on, but I was pretty far along, and so I was not going to abandon it. So yeah, like I said, 32 count Lugana, color and cotton. It's called for DMC, and I had pulled this out earlier this year. And I finished up the water at that time. I didn't add any to the whale. Finished up the water and then put it away. And then I was like, y'all. Oh man, okay. So I really wanted to pull it back out because I knew that I probably could get through it. So pulled it back out. I did it. This piece has about 7,500 stitches in it. And yeah, it was a very complicated chart. I learned a lot. Please, please, please learn from me. So the really challenging part about this chart was that there is a ton of fractional stitches. And as you can see, there's a ton of fractional stitches, like, so on the outside is fine because all that does is like shape the piece. But when they're inside, I had just been like going along. I was working mainly in dark colors first. As you can see, there's, a lot of dark colors. And I was going along, and if I encountered a fractional stitch, I did that fractional stitch in the dark color as the 3/4 stitch. Now, first of all, there were two things wrong with that. The first being that, please, for the love of God, never do your 3/4 stitches before you do your quarter stitches. Learn that lesson with this piece the hard way, because it's just too hard to like get that quarter stitch in after you've got the 3/4 in, because the leg of the floss lays over where you have to put your needle. So yeah, first of all, please, for the love of God, always do your quarter stitches before your 3/4 stitches. And then, and this one, I don't think I could have, I don't know that I could have known this, especially with what a new stitcher I was when I started this piece. But like, there were no instructions in the chart about like what should be the 3/4 stitch and what should be the quarter stitch. And so, like I said, I was doing these dark colors, and I was doing the dark colors as the 3/4 stitches. And then when I started to get into the light colors, I realized that in order for the color, blending to work right, the light color stitches were intended to be the 3/4 stitches, and the dark ones were supposed to be the quarter stitches. So mine definitely has some extra like texture in places, because there were places where I had already done 3/4 stitches in the dark, And then when I did the light, I had to put a leg of floss over top of a leg of dark floss. And so there are areas, like when we're up real close, where you can kind of see that like there's dark floss under the light floss, and that gives it just a tiny bit of like puffiness in those areas. But I think, you know, when we come back to proper viewing distance and it's up on the wall, it's gonna be fine. So those were the lessons I learned. Always, always, always do your quarter stitches before your 3/4 stitches, and also pay attention to the cover. Like, I basically just had to realize that from looking at the cover of like, oh, you know, if I'm doing these as quarter stitches, it just kind of falls behind the darkness, and that's not how the picture looks. So if you have a cell or a stitch that contains 2 colors, and you have been given no guidance about what should be 3/4 and what should be quarter, you know, just pay attention to the chart and then always follow that. So once I figured it out, I was like, okay, the lightest color needs to be the 3/4 stitch. If it's darker, then, you know, so that's just kind of where that's how I, you know, so always follow, you know, whatever you decide to do, stick with that. But yeah, so I'm very pleased that this is done. This was my second oldest whip, so that feels really good. Getting a 2021 whip off of the plates. I think by the end of this year, I will just have 2 2021 whips left, but they're both really big, so they're probably not going anywhere anytime soon. And then I went ahead and started. I was like, do I eat more vegetables and work on another whip, or do I do a new start? I opted for a new start. So this is called Ode to a Good Dog. It's by Maximum Cross Stitch. This is reading super warm. I don't know why. It's, yeah, like I wish my camera would go into cool mode, because this is definitely warm tone. So it's by Maximum Cross Stitch Design. And I bought this fully kitted up at Stitch North, and Ellen is so sweet. So this is a sampler about, you know, like our love of dogs, and I have had many dogs in my life, and it was very sweet. I wanted to buy it, but honestly, like, it's just too big of a chart for me to want to like scan and mess with getting it into markup. So I went to Ellen and I was like, Ellen, if I buy your chart, could you provide me with a PDF? And she said, yes, absolutely. So not only did I buy this, but I also that's when I bought M. Fayant, and she provided me that PDF as well. But she was so sweet. When I was like, hey, look, I bought it, she was like, great. And she's like, I can personalize it for you if you want, with, you know, where the name goes. And I was like, oh, that would be amazing. But like, I don't even know how to pick a dog. And she's like, well, you know, how many do you have? And I said, I have 2. And I gave her their names, and she was like, okay. So she so very sweetly personalized this, but I had given her the names of my living dogs, Atticus and Piper. And I decided, well, so I realized after I got the PDF that the alphabet for the dogs' names, it's all over 1. I thought maybe she did it over 1 just to fit Atticus and Piper in to, because she had to make this quite a bit bigger. Like it came out like probably this far, and then obviously equal over there. But no, I realized when I went to start it that the whole alphabet for this area is over 1. And I'm doing this on 20 Count Ada, 20 Count Speculoos by Roxy Floss Co. And with the called for Roxy Floss Co. Threads, like I said, I bought the whole kit and caboodle. So I was like, well, I'm not doing that to myself. I'm not stitching, names over one. And it came to me pretty quickly. I don't even remember what I was thinking, but it just came to me really quickly that I wanted to change this to Lucy, who was my dog that passed in 2020. My husband and I'll put some pictures up on the screen of Lucy while I talk about her. So my husband and I got Lucy. We had only been together for like 4 months when we got Lucy. We were already living together. It was crazy. Like, my husband and I met, and like, just practically from the word go, I moved in with him, and yeah, it just happened like really fast and naturally. And so then, like I said, we were already living together, and I don't know if I was specifically looking to get a dog. I think maybe I was like, I miss my dog. Did I have 2 at the time, or were we just down to 1? I can't remember, but I definitely had a dog at home. And when I moved out, so I was like, I miss my dog. And so I think I was looking for a dog, and I found a listing on Craigslist for this free to good home dog. And the lady who had her, it was a situation where her daughter had been living with some roommates, and the roommates had to move, and they couldn't take their dog with them. And her daughter was like, please, 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 Mom, please take the dog. They're going to have to take the dog to the pound. Please take the dog. So she took the dog. And so we like inquired about her and went to meet her and just took her. And like, she just like jumped in our car and never looked back. And so we got her in 2008. We were told that she was about 5 years old. I mean, I don't know. She said 5 or 6 years old. I suppose it's possible she could have been 4. I don't think she could have been 3, just because she already had some arthritis. And so I definitely tend to lean towards, 5 or 6 years old, I guess. And then she did not pass away until February of 2020. So we had her for 11 and a half years. And so she was our first kid. And so I just decided, I was like, no, like, this is not going to be for Atticus and Piper. This is going to be for Lucy. So I found a different alphabet and charted this out, and then had to like rechart the whole thing to be, because it's actually 2 stitches longer than the very small one that's in the original paper chart, but it's much smaller than how Ellen had charted it for me. So I kind of had to I had to fully chart this out on my own, and then count like how many stitches this was in relation to the chart, and then figure out exactly how to place it. So I had started over here with these flowers and vines, and then I realized, I was like, oh, I'm already to this thing. I was like, let me just get that in there so I can get it over with, so that I know that it's in there and it's right. So yeah, I love this piece. I don't know how I'm going to feel about stitching all the words. Like, sometimes words are great for me and they go quick. Other times I really slog through them, and there's a lot of words. Before I bought this, I really looked at it hard. Like, this is a big piece. Am I going to enjoy this piece? And so I looked at all the elements, and I was like, I like the border, and the border is simple. It's not complicated. And then I was like, the words, usually I like words, it'll be okay. And then the house is not too big. I'm not a house stitcher, but the house is not too big. And the grass is a very large part of this, but I actually think the grass looks really fun to stitch. So while I was talking about that, I'll put up a picture of it so you can know what I'm talking about. And then other than that, it's just the baskets, the little berry bowls, and the little dog. Oh, there is a little bird you'll see on the roof of the house. That is over one as well, so I'm not stitching that. But yeah, so made my start on this. I'm gonna keep working on it for a few days. Normally I like to definitely get everything to at least 10%. So in order to do that, I will have to put in about 1,700 stitches. And I think I'm only at like 300. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm going to keep working. I've kind of gone as far as I can go this way. So I'm about to start coming down and see how far I can get. This extra fabric is kind of making it hard to utilize the full space of the Q-snap. So, I mean, if I fill the Q-snap and then can't really go any further, but I'm not at 10% yet, I probably won't like move it and keep going, because that's just kind of how I am. If I have to move the Q-snap, then I typically am like, yeah, and we're done here. But yeah, so I'm gonna keep working on this, and I'll check in when I decide to put it down. Bye. Hey everyone. Today is Thursday, August 14th. And I'm checking in because I'm gonna go ahead and set down this project, Ode to a Good Dog by Maximum Cross Stitch. I did about, I want to say I got almost 1,400 stitches in. My markup is going to be a little bit off because I went in and I removed all of the stitches that were for the name area, and then there wasn't enough space in the chart on markup to actually like recreate, you know, add the stitches for what I did. So I just removed all of the name area stitches and I counted all those manually, and then I added that to my spreadsheet. So markup is excuse me, markup is always going to be just a little bit behind, because I think that the name area had like around 150, 140 stitches, something like that. So I think I hit around 1,400 stitches on this. I really wanted to do more, but y'all, like, I don't know, I should have done some alternating between the border and the words. This border really took it out of me. Just, there's no, I think the most stitches you get to do in the border, well, the green like vine is, you know, you can go as far as the strand will allow. And then the darker purple, I think you get to do about 60 stitches, but all the rest of the colors, like the light purple is like 15 stitches, and the darker or the lighter pink is like 14 stitches. And the leaves, even when you do the two together, that's only 24 stitches. And so it's just so much like cutting, you know, start, stitch a few stitches, end, cut off, start again. And that's like my least favorite thing. When I went to start the words, I was like, you know, I think I'm just gonna like cut my own length instead of cutting the skein at the ends. And so I cut I cut my own length, and that you see there is one length of floss and also 174 stitches, and that was so nice to just like go. I don't really feel the stitches when I don't have to end my thread. And honestly, I think now that I'm thinking about it, I think coming up to the end of the thread is even kind of stressful for me. Like, I'm thinking about it, like, how many more stitches am I gonna get? And so it's even not just the ending and but also just like and it's more pronounced, like the stress about ending the thread is more pronounced the shorter the strand is. It's not as pronounced, it doesn't bother me as much when I've been able to stitch for a long time. Then I don't feel as much like, oh, like how many more can I get? Like, I don't know. So I just don't like, I do not like stitching with short strands. I don't like it at all. But yeah, so this, I did make it to about 13%. So I am happy that I made it over 10%. And yeah, I'm gonna set it down, and I'm going to actually start something that was not in my plans at all, but like, welcome to Arbitrary August, right? I did that video of the projects that like have been in my stash for a long time that I've just been like too, intimidated to start, or too, whatever the reason to not start it. And Nitya from Daybreak Stitchery was like, hey, I also have a blackbird that I want to like punch up the colors on, so we could do like a Brightbird Sal. So I was like, okay, yep, I'm in. I twist my arm. And so I pulled out the pattern, I picked fabric, and I've pulled, mostly I've pulled all the colors. I think I'm gonna change my greens, and I'm not like 100% on the trio of pinks, but I think I'll start, the medium tone pink is like the predominant color. So I think I'll start with that, and then I'll see if I want to like change the lighter one or the darker one later. And then I might change my brown too, because I picked a very, very dark brown, and I think I might just want to dial that back a tiny bit. But the first color that I would start with logically will be the medium tone pink. So yeah, so I'm going to get a start on that, and I will check in when I have some progress on that. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hey everyone. Today is Monday, August 18th, and I have a finish. Yay! So this is Blackbird Designs, the Garden Series, number 11, called Fairy House or Fairy Garden. Fairy House or Fairy Garden. And as you can maybe tell, like I said in the last clip, I changed just about everything about this. Yeah, I just basically pulled from the stash. I'm not in love with the two different greens. I just think that they don't go that well together. I really love the lighter green. I just think that the darker green is like a little too much darker, like too much more green. I don't know. But it's done, whatever. Like, I didn't start questioning it until it was all stitched in. So it was like 250 stitches, and I was like, well, probably not gonna rip it out. Excuse me. But yeah, this had approximately 1,765 stitches. I did it in 5 days. Only 4 whole days, because I started this on a day where I also worked on Ode to a Good Dog, and so I got a few stitches in on that day, but so the majority of this I did in 4 days. And it was just one of those like real quick wins. Like, by the time I might have been burning out on it, it felt like so close that why would you put it down? It never really got too tedious. There were some places where where it was annoying to go get little ninja stitches, but it didn't get too tedious. This has specialty stitches. So I've done Smyrna crosses before, but I had never done eyelets before, but all 6 of these are eyelets. And yeah, gotta tell ya, kind of annoying, like kind of intense. And with the thread kind of being close to the fabric color, it was kind of hard to tell like which holes I had gone in already. So I think maybe a couple of these have double double threads in a couple holes, but you can't tell. And the only other thing I changed, you know, besides every single color, was I was in my group chat on Instagram asking about these eyelets actually, and somebody in the group chat, Deanna from Darling and Whimsy, had already stitched this, and she put in this D instead of the called for, or not the called for, but like the provided alphabet, because she did hers on Ada, and so she didn't want to do it over 1, which is what the called for alphabet is. And I was like, oh, honestly, I'm really not. Apparently my thing when getting on camera is yawning. I have not yawned all night. Well, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I've been up all night. I have not yawned all night, and then I turn on the camera and I start yawning. Like a lot of Flosstubers talk about like getting itchy nose and whatever. Anyway, I was like, I'm not really excited about the idea of doing over 1, even though I'm on even weave. So I was like, I'm gonna copy your D. So I changed the D, and yeah, I love it. Like I said, I'm not totally wild about the 2 greens together, but it's done. That's the important thing. So next I am either going to start Sampler of the Seas by Carriage House Sampling, or I'm going to pull out Forest Home by the Blue Flower and get some more progress on that. I do have pretty much exactly 2 weeks left in the month, 13 days, and I do like to spend about a week on a project, so we shall see which I do and how far I get. I will check in when I'm done doing whatever the next thing I do is. See you in the next one. Bye. Hey everyone. Today is Wednesday, August 20th. Just a minor check-in / detour. So I started Sampler of the Sea by Carriage House Sampling. This is 32 count Joblin from Bestitch Me in the colorway Dune. I have no idea if I said all this at the end of the last clip. And I did get a little start on this. This is 365 stitches. It's the full width of the project. So that's nice. And then there's 3 more rows. I cut my margin tight a little bit, like it's gonna come down to the very bottom of the Q-snap. I think I'll still be able to stitch the bottom row without moving it. Like you can see I got a little room that I could move it, but like that's all the fabric I gave myself. So, you know, good job, Danielle. I am impatient with these things, and I do not like managing more fabric than what I have to. But I'm gonna take a small detour, and I'm just putting this on pause. I will come back to it. I decided that with the other week of my month, what I would like to do instead of working on Forest Home is I have a bunch of little smalls that are New York related themed that I want to stitch, and they are going to shoot. I forgot to grab it. When I was in New York in January, I stitched an Empire State Building, and I didn't stitch it on something that was very big. Like, I literally just grabbed a scrap because that's all I thought I was gonna stitch. But like, turns out I should have like made myself a sampler because I have all these like little smalls that I want to stitch, and I was gonna have them turned into a project bag, but I am considering actually having it turned into like a wall hanging, just because I know that I would actually see the wall hanging like frequently, versus a project bag would like live in my cupboard and I would only see it, you know, when I'm working on that project. So I don't love that. So I actually think maybe I'll turn it into a wall hanging now. I had bought some fabric that was like, it's like a winter in New York scene. And I kind of bought that because it was intended to be a project bag for my big city Christmas. So, I mean, it's still beautiful. I feel like it maybe makes less sense as a wall hanging in that regard. But we'll see. I have a week to figure that part out before I turn them into acorns to get fully finished. So I'm gonna stitch those up. I think I should be able to tackle it. It's like 8 or 9 motifs. I think the biggest one is maybe 400 stitches. I'm gonna stitch a small little Statue of Liberty, a little teeny tiny cute taxi cab, an apple that inside the apple it says the big, a little I Heart New York, 2 street signs. One will say Broadway, one will say Times Square. I'm gonna stitch a little snowflake for the snow that I experienced. I experienced in New York City snow. Wasn't much. It was not that dramatic, but still. So a little snowflake. Yeah. So I just have a bunch of little smalls. I grabbed a 16 count Ada and DMC. I basically just like bought a bunch of little patterns that, you know, or I bought a bunch of patterns that are bigger patterns, and I bought them for motifs, and like maybe someday I'll stitch the whole, you know, whole ones or whatever. But you know, for now I'm just gonna take what I want off of them and stitch the smalls, and then I'm gonna stitch them all on one piece of fabric, but then I want the finisher to like cut them up to make them individual pieces. I won't do the cutting. I'll leave that to more professional hands than my own. But yeah, so I'm gonna start that, and maybe I'll just do little check-ins like with every single one that I finish. That might be a lot though, especially if I get chatty. Or you'll just see like all of them. I'm gonna load it up on a 14-inch Q-snap so that I can hopefully, you know, just get them all on there without having to like move the Q-snap and move the fabric. I'll put 3 inches between everything so that she has a 1.5 inch, you know, margin. I feel like most sewists only really need like a 1/2 inch to like do what they gotta do. So I feel like 1.5 inches around everything should be okay. But yeah, so I will check in at some point. See you in the next one. Bye. Hey everyone. Today is Wednesday, August 27th. Almost done with the month, y'all. Where's the time going? So yeah, definitely did not check in after each little finish. Ha ha ha. Like, what was past Danielle thinking? So yeah, I've stitched up all my smalls. Just in the nick of time. I'm gonna take this to Acorns today to have all this cut up and turned into a wall hanging. But yeah, so I started here, did this little Statue of Liberty. Very cute. And then I think I came over here and did these. I was gonna do Broadway and Times Square, but Wall Street was already charted and I just didn't feel like figuring it out myself. So I just went ahead and decided to do Broadway and Wall Street. And then I did this little I Heart New York. And then I did the little subway bubbles, little subway circles. And then I came down and I did the Big Apple. And then I moved up and I did this cute little taxi cab. It's so cute. And then I just finished the snowflake. And then this was my Empire State Building that I had already had stitched. As you can see, the fabric is pretty different. So I think that I want to, when I drop it off, I'm gonna specify that, like, I feel like this should be the center of the piece, and especially like with the big heart. And then I feel like it'll feel less, having this as the centerpiece of the wall hanging will make it feel, I feel like it'll make it stand out less that it's a different fabric, you know? Like, I feel like if it was way off at the side, then it would be like, oh, what, did you run out of fabric or whatever? So yeah, it's done. Yay. I counted every single one of these as individual projects that I finished. So we technically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 finishes. But yeah, so I'm gonna take these to Acorns today, and I don't know if I'm gonna take, I had intended for Trans Pride Tapestry to be my next fill-in project, take it to Stitch Days, but I don't have a lot of time left in the month to get more work in on Sampler of the Seas. So I'm either going to take Sampler of the Sea or Trans Pride Tapestry to Acorns for Stitch Group today, and then work on Sampler of the Sea for the rest of the month. But yeah, I will check in with more progress on something, probably on the 31st. All right, see you in the next one. Bye. Hey y'all, today is Monday, September 1st, although it doesn't really feel like it yet to me because it's only like 1:45 in the morning. But yeah, so I'm checking in on my stopping point of Sampler of the Sea by Carriage House Sampling, and this is how far I got. This is basically halfway. Stitch count wise, it's not quite halfway. It's like 48 point something percent. And but this is the top half, and the top half is like totally done, except for there are 2 eyes for the crab and an eye for the seagull. And I'm just not gonna do those until the end because there's like 5 or 6 eyes in the whole project that are all black. So I'm just gonna get the black out when I'm done and put all the eyes in. But yeah, so I am loving this project, but I had decided, I don't know why, I was kind of like, no, I'm not going to work on it in September. I think because I had it in my head that I want September to be my focus on my birthday starts, but I also know that that's not all of what I'm going to do in September, so I don't know why I couldn't keep going on this for a couple more days. But I also think that if I start, you know, busting into this row, like I feel like if I got halfway through this row, I would then like have to finish it, but I would burn out, you know? So I just decided that I was like, nope, we're gonna stop here. But yeah, so I don't know exactly what I'm gonna pick up. Like I almost put this away before filming my little clip. I don't know what I want to pick up like at this very moment, but I can tell you that in September I want to work on so all my birthday starts, which are the Nutcracker by RETM, Butterflies and Borders, and My Home in the Garden. I would like to work on all 3 of those projects. which would be my second pass for butterflies and borders in my home in the garden. It'll be the first time I'm touching the Nutcracker. I want to work on, I will be taking Transpride Tapestry, which I didn't show you. Like, I'm not being good at like showing my fill-in project when I take it to stitch groups, but I did take that to Acorns a few days ago on Wednesday, and I got 252 stitches of fill-in done. So I'm going to take that to Penwis as a good option for like easy stitching. And I also want to take the Artsy Housewife Coffee and Eggs to Penwis. And then I think I might take Acorns and Friends, which was the acorn gathering project from Lola Crow that I started in January. So I think I'm going to take those 3 projects to Penwis. I don't know that I'll work on all 3, but I like to have options. So yeah, I think we can expect to see progress on those 6 projects this month. Not planning any new starts, but of course I don't know what projects I'm going to get at Penwis. I'll be getting 2 projects, one from the Artsy Housewife and one from, I believe her company name is Avelia Folk Embroidery. But I'm not planning any new starts. But yeah, so that's kind of the plan for September right now. I will probably do a whole Penwis Flosstube extra. So like my clips of the brag table, my, like I'll do a little, like at the end of the retreat, before I pack up to go home, I'll probably like film, you know, like what we got, you know, in the swag bag, the kits, etc. And I'll just put that up as an extra, I think, because I think that combining it with my normal floss tube would make it too long. But yeah, I think that's it, honestly. So that's it. This is my August stitching. I can remember off the top of my head that I did 8,886 stitches. Yes, I am irritated that that's not 8,888, but what I'm actually more irritated about is that 3 days before the end of the month, I saw that if I did 333 stitches per day, or, you know, 333, 334, that I would hit 9,000 stitches for the month of August, which would be my second best stitching month since I've been tracking. And I was like really excited for that. But then on one of the days I only hit 100 stitches. So I was like, but it's okay, I can make it up. So one of the other days I did 400 stitches, which didn't really make up everything I needed for the day I only did 100. But then I ran out of time earlier, you know, by the time it hit midnight. I needed to be at like 400, and I think I needed to be closer to like 475, but I only got to 350. So I was 100 and, you know, what is that, like 114 stitches short of hitting 9,000. Whatever. I mean, technically, I think that is still my second best stitchy month since I've been tracking. But yeah, so that's it. I'll wrap this clip up. I'm gonna put this project away. I still haven't put away my DMC from doing the New York smalls. So I'm gonna put that DMC away, put this project away, and then figure out which project to pull out, because I honestly just don't know. I am really not feeling drawn to stitching on the Nutcracker. I have a bad feeling that that project might either need to be a UFO or I may need to restart it on 20 count because I don't love how big it is. It's just so much fabric to wrangle. But I really don't want to restart it. Like I have a decent enough chunk done that even though I understand that it like I think it's 13%, like it pales in comparison to the rest of the piece. So like if I don't want it to be that big and I don't want to wrangle all that fabric, then I should restart it. Also white ghosts on it pretty bad, and there's, you know, more white to come. But I'm like, oh, I don't want to redo all that work. I just don't know, because I had pulled it out for Christmas in July. I pulled out like the only 2 Christmas whips that I had, and it sat on my table the whole month. And like when I say I wasn't heartbroken that I didn't get to it, yeah, like I wasn't heartbroken that I didn't get to it. And so I'm definitely not feeling it right now either. I don't know. So then I guess that means it's either going to be butterflies and borders or my home in the garden that I pull out. Yeah, we'll see. I definitely just really don't know what I want to do right now. So I'll see, you'll see, we'll see. But yeah, so I'll wrap this up for now. And thanks everybody for commenting, liking, subscribing, doing all those good YouTube-y things. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.